Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this session, I'm going to give lecture about the first one-act play of the fourth unit of DGBC Foundation English 2. This is Mine Eyes Have Seen. This play was written by an American writer, Alice Dunbar Nelson. Was born in 1875 and he lived up to 1935. He was a poet, journalist and a political activist. See, among the first generation born free in the South after the Civil War, the playwright was said to be one of the prominent African Americans involved in the artistic flourishing of the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was started around the 1920s in order to create platform for the black writers, the writers from the African Americans. The Violets and Other Tales was said to be the first short story collections of the writer Alice Dunbar Nelson. She gave the play called Mine Eyes Have Seen. It's a play, one-act play. Let me list out the characters who involved in this play. Danny, shortly he is called as Dan. Danny is the elder brother of the family, and Chris is next brother, and Lucy is a sister. Okay, these three are living in a small hut which was in the northern part of United States of America. This family was driven out from southern part of the America. Actually, their family was there in south, but the government of America asked the people, particularly the black people, to move away from southern part of America. When they were asked to leave their house, his father was opposing that. So his father was shot dead, he was killed. And because of that, the mother also was died. She fell sick and was passed away. Now the family is living in northern part of United States. Okay, and there is other supporting characters like Mrs. O'Neill, Jake, Julia. Julia is Chris' girlfriend, and Bill Harvey and Cornelia Lewis. See, other characters are just the supporting characters, whereas these three are major leading characters: Dan, Chris, Lucy. Okay, it's a black family. This play opens with elder brother Dan and Lucy, the sister. Lucy was working in the kitchen of their small hut, and you're waiting for the arrival of the brother Chris. Chris is the next brother. They started talking about their past life which they experienced in the southern part of America, how their house was there. It was a big house for them. They had once in south. Now they have to leave everything, all those destroyed. These family were asked to move away from southern. Danny is crippled. This fellow couldn't walk. He always gets seated. He cannot walk. He's completely crippled. Even the sister Lucy can walk, but she's limping. She is the one who does all the household works of the home. The Chris is the only hope for the family, who is the breadwinner of the family. He is supporting the family. So in the beginning of the play, these two, the elder brother Dan and Lucy, the sister, they were talking about their past life, and Lucy is she is worrying about the brother, the Chris, who comes at late night because the country is in the difficult situation. The country looks like restless. Chris was coming around 12 o'clock in the night. She offered him food, and there Chris said he got a bad news for the day, because the news is that his name was included in the military forces of America to serve the country. But Chris was not interested in this. He is not ready to serve the country. He explains why he doesn't want to fight for the nation, because the country didn't do any favor for the black community, so he denies to serve the country. But the elder brother, Danny, he convinces him, he compels him to accept the invite from the army to join US Army to serve the country. But Chris says, see, if I go to the army, who will support you all? My crippled brother, you are there, you cannot walk, you cannot earn. I am the only breadwinner, so I am here to serve you, my brother and my sister. How will you survive if I left for the army? Now, this guy, Danny, says that, no, I can manage myself. It's a call from our country. Why don't you do the service for our country? Why don't you ready to serve the country? But this fellow denies. He started explaining what was happened in the past. What is the favor which the country did for us? We were living happily in southern part of United States, but we were driven out from our own land. We lost all of our assets, our home. Now we are living in a small hut. Kitchen is the only room for us. That's the hall for us. That's the bedroom for us. That's the kitchen for us. But whereas, how was our house in South when we were staying? Who killed our father? Because our father denied when the government asked us to leave our own, and he was killed, for which we couldn't get the justice. We couldn't get the justice. Then why should I fight for the nation? Whereas Danny is talking with the patriotism, you cannot talk about all these things. Think about the goodness which come to us. Forget all the bad things which has happened in the past. And Danny started explaining that how black people served the nation around 1776. Black people played a vital role in the battle which was happened in 1776. And he also said even 1812 and 1861. So in these battle, because of the black people, because of our community, the country won the battle. You have to think about all these things with which we need to be proud. But Chris says that, I cannot go for the fall because I will never forget what was happened in the past. And when they were talking, the girl Lucy, Chris' girlfriend, she is also coming. And she said, she got the news that Chris' name was included in the army. She is also telling to get the exemptions. She is not ready to send Chris for the war. And one more, the neighboring woman, Mrs. O'Neill, she is also coming inside, and she's in her part. She's also explaining that what has happened to her husband when she sent her husband for the war 1 year ago. He is not coming back alive. He didn't come back alive. So she's struggling a lot. Even there is a guy named Jack. He's also telling, if you don't interested, you can get the exemption. You can claim for the exemptions. That is possible. And he's also telling, everybody was standing with Chris against the war. In the sense, they are not interested to send Chris for the war. Whereas Danny alone standing at one side that he is convincing his brother to join the war. Finally, Danny calls him slacker and weaker. He labeled him two names, slacker and weaker. But still, Chris was not ready to accept the invite from the army, US Army. But later, somehow he convinced him. Chris was convinced. And because Danny spoke in such a way, asking that Chris don't look for the revenge this time country is in the need of help. We have to fight for our equality. Of course I can understand, but at the same time now the country, our entire nation is in problem where we have to come forward to serve the nation. So now, since he was talking all about that, Danny goes on explaining that a lot of children were killed, white children were killed, a lot of children were killed. There Chris is telling that, of course the white children are killed by the enemy country, whereas our own countrymen are, fellow men who killed our own black children. But still somehow Chris was convinced. So finally Chris was convinced. Now even other people Cornelia, Jack, Mrs. O'Neill, Lucy, Julia, they're also asking Chris to join the war. Lucy is telling, of course, we need you, but the country need you more. So she says like that. And Chris here, who talks like Periyar in Tamil Nadu in India, how he was not happy when the British government declared freedom for India. He was not happy for that. Periyar gave explanation why he was not happy when British government declared freedom for India. Because after the arrival of British to India, everybody was able to get the education. Everybody was started treating equally. So he is asking the British people to stay a few more years in India, then they can leave. That is what his expectations. In such a way, he is also thinking. Even Chris also thinking like Periyar. Okay, after the arrival of British, of course, all are slowly getting all the facilities. Okay, so like that, Chris also was thinking. Chris also was behaving, but finally he was convinced by Danny and other supporting characters like Julia, Cornelia, Jake. They also started to convince Chris, and finally Chris accepted the invite from the US Army to get joined in this, and he said he is okay to join the army. With this, the play gets over. So one thing we must confess after reading this particular play, anybody, after all, we are human being, right? If anybody, like Dr. APJ Kalam said, if a person is being isolated economically, socially or politically, he will never show interest towards patriotism or his country. That is what anybody will think. The same way Chris also was thinking. That is why initially he denied to serve his country. Later he was convinced, he accepted. So with this, the play gets over, the lecture gets over. Thanks for listening the lecture. Do subscribe the channel if you have not yet subscribed.